In this video, we'll cover a few adverbs that you'd use to describe how much something is or isn't true. We've already learned no, the most common adverb in Spanish, and we've practiced using it when it means not. This word can also mean simply no all by itself. For example, in answer to a yes-no question. For example, let's say I'm asking you if some people are present. The following sentence answers the question using both versions of no.
No, ellas no están.
This means no, they are not present. So here's how you would say the opposite.
Sí, ellas están.
The word sí means yes. This sounds exactly like the word sí that we've learned previously, which means if. But this one is spelled with an accent mark over the letter I. Now, this word doesn't just mean yes. It can also be used in the middle of positive statements, in the exact same way that we've been using no to mean not. Here's an example of how. We can take the sentence, ellas no están, and we can change it to ellas sí están. Now, why would you do that? In English, we don't randomly put the word yes in the middle of a sentence like they yes are present. But in Spanish, this is quite natural. Ellas no están, ellas sí están. These two words are interchangeable. Specifically, what's happening here is that the word sí is thrown in to affirm a sentence, in the same way that the word no is thrown in to negate a sentence. This is actually something that we do in English as well, we just don't realize it because we do it in a subtle way. Here's an example. Let's say that you're in a disagreement with someone over whether or not someone has something. You tell me, he doesn't have that. Él no has eso. But if you're arguing the opposite, you might emphasize that he does have it. He does have that. The word does there is unnecessary. You could just say, he has that. But you're using the extra word does for emphasis. And as you might remember, Spanish speakers never use does or do before another verb. Remember that D is for disappear. So instead of doing that, if you want to emphasize something like this in Spanish, you'll use sí. So let's try this. Él no has eso versus él sí has eso. One is negation, one is affirmation. And as you can see, the words no and sí are used exactly the same way at the same spot in the sentence. We just exchanged one for the other. Here's another example. You don't know it, or tú no lo know. Now we can switch it around. You do know it is tú sí lo know. Let's practice some examples of this. In each case, you'll use either no to negate a sentence or sí to emphasize that a sentence is true. She is doing us a favor.
Ella sí nos está haciendo un favor.
You are the one that was here. Tú sí eres la que estaba aquí. We aren't at the place, but they are. Nosotros no estamos en el lugar, pero ellos sí lo están. One way to think about the word sí when used like this is as the word indeed. It may be a bit antiquated to say, she is indeed doing us a favor, but some students find this translation helpful. Here's another fun adverb. The word solo means only. This can be used in all kinds of ways. So here's one example. I'm only going to do this. Solo voy a hacer esto. But we could also change this to, I'm going to do only this.
Voy a hacer solo esto.
This word is very versatile and quite easy to use, just like we use only or just in English. Just remember not to break up a verb structure with this word the way that we do in English. So for example, let's say you want to say, they have only gone that day. In Spanish, the verbs have gone have to stay together. So we'll put the solo before that.
Solo han ido ese día.